making it up. You know you're giving it this meaning and you're creating whatever the meaning is, but you're not caught in it because you realize you're doing it. Or you can do it really unconsciously, where you're giving it whatever meaning that you were programmed to give it by your upbringing or your past lives or whatever you believe about that kind of stuff. And it's all an automatic response. And to you, it looks absolutely like whatever meaning you've given it is reality, is really it. This is good and this is bad, and any fool can see that, and that's the way it is. That's kind of the unconscious way to do it. The conscious person is saying, I'm going to make this good and I'm going to make this bad, and we're just playing. And if I wanted to, I could make everything good or everything bad or anywhere in between. And it's all just a game. Ram Dass likes to say, and I repeat this all the time, it's okay to play Hamlet, but don't be Hamlet. Because at the end of the play, everybody dies, and it's a tragedy. But if you're cast as Hamlet in the play, then you can have a great time, because you know it's just a play. But if you start playing the play and you think that you are Hamlet, then it's pretty gruesome. So that's at least the metaphorical explanation that these mystical traditions give, that it's like a play. And the choice is, are you going to respond and react to everything just based on all the automatic response mechanisms that have been programmed into you by your upbringing? Or are you going to develop this awareness where you can step back from it and say, okay, I just got stopped by a cop and given a ticket and I'm pissed, and I'm going to do pissed for a while, but I realize that I'm just doing pissed. And I don't have to do that if I don't want to. But, you know, I feel like it right now, so I'm going to do that. And you're doing whatever you're doing, whatever emotion you're expressing, you're doing it from this point of awareness and choice. And the realization that you're just playing Hamlet, that you're not really Hamlet. And in many ways, I'm going far afield here from where I started, but in many ways what Holosync does, and what any kind of meditation does, is it develops that awareness part of you that allows you to stand back and watch the duality play happen. And then the next step of it is to be able to manipulate it in any way you want, realizing that you're just making it up. You're just the screenwriter writing the screenplay. So, does that make sense? Any more questions? Mariah?
When you get up into the higher betas, like psychotic states and things like that, how high does beta go?
Well, there's actually another brainwave pattern that they talk of, some people talk of, and I'm trying to think which Greek letter they use for it. I can't think what it is right off the top, but when you get up to about 40 cycles per second, there's another one that some people don't divide them that way, and they just call it all beta. But I'm not so sure. I don't know exactly what's going on with like a psychotic person. Whether I would think that a psychotic probably has real high beta, and they're in a state of lots of anxiety, but they also have a lot of theta, because theta is kind of a hallucinogenic state. If you're doing a lot of theta, children are, the predominant brainwave pattern of children up to the age of 6 or 7 is theta, and a lot of psychologists think that that is why children have this more magical kind of view of things, and why they have imaginary friends sometimes, and have a whole degree of imagination that is different than adults. And somewhere around the age of 6 or 7, they begin to start making a lot more alpha brainwave patterns. And then as they get up 10, 11, 12, they begin getting a lot more beta. and they lose that thing where they're going around a lot in these slower brainwave patterns. When these kids are hyperactive, when they've measured their brain waves, they find that these kids are stuck in theta. These are kids that are 10, 11, 12 years old, and they didn't make that transition where they began making alpha and beta brainwave patterns more, and they're stuck in theta. And they're hyperactive, the theory goes. I'm not pretending to be an expert on this at all, but they're hyperactive because they're trying to stimulate themselves, because theta is a pretty low energy state. It's not a state for jumping around and everything. So they're trying to get themselves activated. There's a place called the Drake Institute that uses biofeedback with kids that are hyperactive. And they have like a computer screen, and it's got an airplane on it. And as they speed their brainwave patterns up, they can make the airplane take off and fly through the air on the screen and so on. And so they take them through it. I think it takes them 50 or 60 sessions with these kids doing this biofeedback to get so that they learn how to make these alpha and beta brainwaves, and then this hyperactivity and learning disability stuff that they were having tends to go away. Personally, I think they could do it a lot faster with Holosync, but it's still pretty effective. Barbara?
The indigo children they talk about that are coming in now. The indigo children.
I'm not familiar with what that is.
Oh, dear.
They're purple?
They're coming in more advanced and apparently not bringing karma. They're very free of stuff. And I'm wondering if they're just living in a theta delta. They're hyperactive. Many of them, I think, have been put on Ritalin and stuff, too.
I'm really not familiar with the term indigo children or what they...
Well, that's based on the theory of energy frequencies in terms of color. You're talking about energy frequencies in terms of sound. Now, energy takes on frequencies that show up as color.
Uh-huh.
And we give off vibrations. And the Kirlian photography, for example, is an example where you can look at an individual and characterize them by the color that they're giving off.
So these kids are having a lot of the indigo in there.
These kids are in the
I see.
indigo spectrum. As you know, the color frequencies, the red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, and violet. And they're highly evolved.
They're highly evolved, but they're also very active in terms
They
of...
demonstrate that physically.
Yeah, so that they're often put on Ritalin and they're put on because... that's why I'm trying to tie it in with what he's saying.
Yeah. But we're talking about two different things here.
Yeah.
We're talking about color.
Yeah.
And let's save going into this in more detail for another time. Yeah, one more question.
The tape we listened to this morning had the crystal bowls, the Japanese, whatever, the gongs, and yet it's a deep, presumably it's a deeper tape. Why do some tapes have that sound, some don't? You said earlier it's to keep some alpha going, to keep some beta going, to keep some alertness happening, but then the dive has them, but then what happens after that doesn't?
So the question is the background sounds on the meditation soundtracks. Why do some have the rain and crystal bowls and then some don't have the crystal bowls and just have the rain? Okay, I'm kind of repeating the question for the sake of the tape too, because they can't hear you, and I think it's going to be a real pain in the rear if we do this microphone thing around to everybody too. Well, there's two reasons why we have the music and rain and so on. One is to mask the holosync, just to make it more palatable to listen to. to have something that is, more pleasant to listen to than just these tones, which would, are pretty stark without something. So that's one reason. It just masks the sound. The other is to add a little element of something to kind of hang on to for your brain, so that you're still making a little bit of something to keep you, help keep you a little more alert. We don't have the crystal bowls on the immersion soundtracks really because I guess I should explain what's going on in these soundtracks. We start you out with a high alpha in the dive, and it gradually slows down over a 20-minute period until you're in the middle of the delta range at the taking it up. You know you're giving it this meaning and you're creating whatever the meaning is.